My name is Ernesto Navoa, and today I'll be introducing pivot tables. So, what are pivot tables? Pivot tables are a unique tool available in Excel that allows you to summarize and analyze data sets. It can be utilized to interpret the schema of data and provide efficient layouts which can be used to organize specific data for specific types of analysis. Features include aggregating numerical data, summarization by categories, and creating custom calculations and formulas. You also have the ability to filter, group, and format specific information, enabling the user to make critical decisions based on the data. So, why are they important? Well, pivot tables automatically summarize your entire data and allow you to organize it intuitively and efficiently, removing the need to manually update formulas. This allows the user to answer specific questions based on data in the different data fields. Secondly, it also allows you to organize your data interactively and categorize them using different metrics to aid in the visualization of your business financial performance. It can specifically help businesses identify trends and compare them across all sales markets, identify key drivers within their business, and how they each individually affect profitability, as well as help business owners answer many more questions. And lastly, when analyzing large data sets manually, many errors can occur, and as you implement different formulas and create different tables. Pivot tables eliminate the possibility of these issues occurring by creating a seamless experience that automatically creates tables and formulas for you within the click of just a few buttons. So how are pivot tables utilized in finance and accounting? Well, pivot tables are utilized by many professionals in the financial industry, as well as in any type of business model, due to how it efficiently converts complex data into easy to understand analytical data, which can be easily modified and analyzed. In fact, many financial analysts utilize pivot tables to gain insights about their company's employees, products, clients, and financials. One example is a financial analyst who uses this feature to create a table that analyzes multiple fiscal years in order to gain insights related to the company's financial performance, which allows them to spot different trends and patterns throughout their financial statements. Next, I'll be introducing a real world scenario that I will hypothetically place myself in order to assess a real world problem that a company employee might face where pivot tables could be utilized efficiently. You are a data analyst intern at Ocean Madness Corporation. Your boss has now provided you with a data set which includes information regarding workplace safety, and he would like you to find answers to the following questions by utilizing the data. But most importantly, he would like you to provide him with this information within the next hour. Now, the first question at hand is how many incidents occurred in each department and how much of the total incident cost was each department responsible for? The second question is what age groups were responsible for the incident cost within each department? Today, I will show you how you can efficiently use a pivot table to answer both of these questions simultaneously while achieving a good level of understanding of your data. Our first example is a dataset made up of three different columns: product number, quantity, and total cost. This is a dataset that is representative of a company's different product lines, their quantity sold, and their total cost. This information is important because it allows a company to see how much of one product it is purchasing and how much it is spending on that individual product. This is a very simple example of what a real database will look like. In real life, most companies will have many more metrics and information which is collected and stored in a database management system. As a data analyst, I will show you guys how you can utilize the pivot table to make correct assumptions using your data and make them fast. To the right, you will have a very simple set of instructions, and they are as follows. Make sure your data table is in tabular format. Insert pivot table by utilizing your data, and start summarizing your information by building your table. Before you can build a pivot table though, you must make sure that your data table is in tabular format, a layout where every row represents one transaction or related data. The rules are as follows. Every column which is vertical contains one type of data, and there cannot be any blank rows, which move horizontally. We also cannot have any subtotals in the data. You can also change the general outlook of your data by clicking on Home, Format as a Table, and choosing a color pattern that fits your personal taste. Once you have all of your data in a tabular format, you will click Insert. And before you click Pivot Table, you want to make sure that you have clicked the box inside your table so that when you do click Pivot Table, it automatically selects your entire data table. Then you will press OK. For the purpose of this video, I will be copying and pasting this information onto my sheet so that we can follow along accordingly. All right. Once you have created your pivot table, you will be prompted to a blank sheet where you'll see a tab to your right which is named Pivot Table Fields. This is where you will see all your fields names such as filters, columns, rows, and values. Filters. Here's where you can place fields that you want to focus on, such as regions, periods, business units, and staff employees. In the rows labels, here you want to add fields you're looking to group, such as products, company names, location, and business units. In the columns section, here you want to show the trend of your data, such as trending, periods, times, months, and years. And in the values section, here you want to put fields that you would like to calculate or quantify. Some calculations that you can use to summarize your data include sum, count, average, max, min, and many more. And something to be noted is that although the information can be formatted as listed above, feel free to be creative and format your data however you feel it would be beneficial for you and your company to answer the questions at hand. Primarily, the function of these field boxes is that it summarizes your data in whatever format you choose and contracts it into a small table that is easy to summarize and analyze. Now that we have gone over all the different details regarding the different tools which you will be able to use to build a pivot table, I will now show you step by step how to create one. I will be showing you how to build a simple table that shows us the sum of total cost by product number and quantity. The first step is holding down on product number and bringing it down to the rows. This will prompt it to the left side of the table. Next, you want to grab quantity and bring it down to the rows box as well. This will allow the product number to act as a category and quantity as a subcategory. One thing to remember is that the order does matter, and whichever field is placed first will act as a dominant category. As you can see, if we grab quantity and bring it to the top, this will change the entire outlook of the data. For the purpose of this video, we're going to have it as we did originally. Next, you'll want to drag and drop the total cost into the values section, which will prompt it in the middle section of the table. Now that we have our summarized table, it is time to customize it and change a couple things within the format so that it looks a little more clean and neat. The first step is going to the top, pressing Pivot Table Analyze, and going all the way to the right until we see plus and minus buttons and field headers. Plus and minus buttons, if we press this, this will get rid of the plus and minus buttons that we saw in our table. Although not the functionality, we can still expand and collapse our fields by clicking on them, which is very useful. Next, we want to press on field headers, which primarily get rid of the headers in your table, making it look a little more seamless. In this same tab, you will also have the ability to expand and collapse the fields. Simply by pressing Collapse the Fields, this will only show your categories, and expanding the fields will also show your subcategories, which is a unique feature that allows you to seek more detailed information. Next, you want to make sure that you have centered all your writing. You can do this by going home and clicking on the alignment buttons. Personally, I like all my data to be aligned perfectly in the middle. Next, you want to highlight your sum of total cost and add dollar signs so that when you look at your data, you are certain that it is a currency that you are looking at. If you want to get rid of the decimals, you can click on the decrease decimal button. Alright. Next, we're going to change the color scheme of our table. To do this, you need to go to Home, Format as a Table, and change a color pattern that you personally like. Personally, we're going to go with yellow. Now that we know how to create a simple pivot table, I will begin to solve a more complex problem using advanced set of data. Hi guys, so today, throughout my role as a data analyst, we will be working with this unique data set, which is a representation of Ocean Madness workplace safety. The data we have here is separated into 4 different columns of information: age group, incident type, department, and incident cost. You may be wondering, why do we need all these different details and how do they tie in together? Well, the fact is that all this data connects and is crucial to our company's ability to analyze the information accurately so that we can find underlying trends and patterns relating to when the incidents are occurring, why, and how, and thus find solutions that will allow our company to reduce costs, which it is so crucial that we have all these individual parts of the data table. To the right, you will see a very simple set of instructions just as before, and they are as follows. Make sure your data is in tabular format, insert pivot table by utilizing your data, and start summarizing your information by building your table. My job is to show you guys how to do this specifically in a very simple and intuitive way. Now, once you have all your data in a tabular format, you will click on your data table, click Insert, and press Pivot Table. This will completely automatically select your entire data table, then you will click OK. For the sake of this video, I will go back to the original sheet, copy both of our questions, and paste it onto our new sheet, just so you guys can follow better. Alright, awesome. Now that we know how to create a pivot table, I will be teaching all of you how we can utilize the pivot table to answer more complex problems that may come up in a company. Our first question is, how many incidents occurred in each department and how much of the total incident cost was each department responsible for? Our second question is, what age groups were responsible for the incident cost within each department? So why are these questions so important? These questions are important because it provides insight into which department within our company is having the most injuries and thus needs the most attention and restructuring when it comes to safety policies. We can also see which department had the largest sum of incident costs, which would also provide information that entails whether a company would need further policy restructuring or a new set of management to look over the individual departments. The reason I stated the second question as well is because by utilizing a pivot table, we can easily answer both questions using the same table. Now keep in mind that in order to place any fields in any of these field boxes, all you have to do is click on the field box, hold it down, and drag it down to your field of choice. Now the first step is to drag and drop the field department into the rows field. Because we also want to know the age groups associated with the incident, each department, we drag and drop age groups into the rows box as well. Here you will notice that we have the ability to expand or collapse the field, displaying an extra amount of information that acts as a subcategory. You also have to keep in mind, like before, that order does matter, and whatever field name goes first will dominate the row's label. Next, we want to quantify the amount of injuries per department. To do that, we will click and drag incident type into the values box, which will quantify it and have a count of incident type. As you can see, we have a grand total at the bottom. What this does is it summarizes all the entire data for all the different categories and subcategories within it. For example, here we have count of incident type per department, and at the total we have the total of incident type. Next, we want to know the total amount of incident costs separated by departments. You should also know that whenever you quantify something in the values box, it will quantify that field for all the fields in the rows. In this instance, not only will it quantify the sum of incident costs by department, but it will also break it down by the fields you have placed in the rows box. We will take incident costs and drag it down to values. This will create a sum of incident costs ledger. Now that we have summarized our table, it is time to customize it and change a couple things within the format so that it looks a little more clean and neat. The first step is going to the top row, clicking on Pivot Table Analyze, and going all the way to the right. You will click on plus and minus buttons to get rid of the expenditure buttons, making it look a little more seamless. We will also get rid of field headers, which will add to the seamless look of our table. Like I said before, if we go to Pivot Table Analyze and go to the left, we can also utilize the expand field and collapse field buttons that allow us to expand and collapse our table utilizing these fields right here. Make sure The next step is to make sure that all your entire table is aligned. You can do this by going to Home, going into Alignment, and structuring your table however you like it. Personally, I like all my data to be in the middle. Next, you will highlight only the sum of incident cost and add a dollar sign so that we know this is talking about currency. We are only highlighting a sum of incident cost because we know this is talking about a type of currency and a certain amount of money, as opposed to count of incident type. Next, we will also continue to highlight sum of incident costs and remove any decimals using the contracting decreasing decimals box that we have right here. Next, we are going to change the color scheme of the table. To do this, you need to go to Home, Format as a Table, and choose a color pattern that you find fit for your table. In this case, we'll choose green. Next thing I would like to do is convert the sum of incident costs into percentages. This will allow us to interpret the incident cost by visualizing how much each department was statistically responsible for. This can be done by pressing Control on a Mac, right-clicking, and making sure to click the header of sum of incident costs. Next, you will go down to value field settings. By the way, value field settings allow you to change the summary function or create a custom calculation. By pressing value field settings, you will be welcomed by a pivot table field, which will show summarized by or show data as. For this instance, we want to go to show data as, go down to percent of grand total, which will quantify all of our data into percentages based on each individual category. Not only will it quantify our main categories, but our subcategories as well. And this, folks, is how you build a pivot table and utilize its efficiency to help you and your team answer critical questions. So thank you for watching, and until next time.